You know what sucks about being so tall? Not being part of the frame. It's a whole lot harder to get in here and talk about what I'm doing. Anyways, welcome back to Duckman Cycles and VW Garage. I'm your host, the Duckman. We're back today with Eleanore working on this engine. And down below here you saw me sandblast some of these tins, and we're going to talk about some of this stuff today and about some of the other questions that people have asked in regards to Eleanore or any other project that I've been working on. So as always, like, comment, subscribe, pluck that dingle belly, and we'll be back right after the introduction. Well, anyway, we're going to be looking to see if there's a 7-foot or 7.5, 8-foot tripod on the market, so that way I can try to get videos from a higher angle. One of the first questions that I've got is, these tins are looking really good, you know, what color paint is that? And that's actually not paint at all. Now, I think you might have been a little confused when you saw me spraying, because the spray that I was actually spraying was sandblasting, and I was removing the existing paint from these tins. What you're looking at here is actually bare metal, or almost bare. There are some spots that I kind of missed, and I'll be working on that. And I received a lot of color suggestions as to what color I should paint the engine, and I think it's just going to be just a black satin. I don't want anything that's too shiny, I don't want anything that's too dull, I want just something kind of neutral in between. It's pretty much how the stock engines look, you know, they're neither shiny nor were they flat. That'll pretty much give me what I'm looking for. Some people did suggest to paint the tins the same color that I painted the master cylinder, that real pretty blue, and I've considered that, and it still might happen. I have not committed to paint yet, and of course I still have to put a load of primer on here anyway before I even get that far. Yeah, color is still up in the air, but it'll probably most likely be just a black satin. Nothing too fancy or extravagant, just simple. Keep it real simple. Make it look nice and keep the car looking clean. These tins, I was told, are a little too beat up and I probably shouldn't be using them. I disagree. Now, if I listened to people telling me that, I would have never had an Eleanore, because Eleanore, in the shape that she was in when I first got her, completely destroyed. As you know, hurricane, seawater underneath, just, yeah, mess. And the car just fell apart. Well, these tins are actually in much better shape than Eleanore ever was. So they're a little wavy right here. There's no reason I couldn't take a pair of pliers and just gently bend that out. And up in here where somebody welded this little hole in, it's a little wavy in here, but I can easily put it looks like a boot heel. I think it's just called a dolly. A boot heel, you put it on here and you just gently hammer it. Or I could just put it on my anvil and beat it down a little bit. It's not going to take much. And then just a very light skim of filler. And, you know, any body man will tell you, if you got a little bit of pitting here and there, just skim it. You know, you don't need to get too fancy. If it has holes, or, you know, it's compromised, like it's gonna break, you want to cut it out and weld it. But in this case, there's no reason why I shouldn't reuse these tins. Yeah, I can go and buy another one. They're a little spendy, you know, $30-something. And for what it is, I mean, I don't need to spend that kind of money. I'll fix this one, and that's how I'm gonna handle that. Some people said, you know, hey, why didn't you just use a wire wheel and clean off all the grease that was on there and strip off all the paint? And a wire wheel's not a bad idea. I have several of them, and I do use them sometimes, probably for much smaller projects than these. But I didn't feel like dealing with the noise of the wheel spinning around and throwing all grease up all over my clothes and in my face and having to wear the mask and everything associated with just the mess it was going to make. It was a whole lot easier just to scrape them gently, and I use a screwdriver, and I know that's a no-no. A screwdriver is not a scraper. I actually got picked on for that, and I forgot his name. I wanted to give him a shout out in this video. I'll make sure that I get to you soon, but he told me that his shop teacher would take his screwdriver away from him if in the event he used it for scraping, and he would give it back to him later, but he says you couldn't use it again. He said it would be destroyed. It would be just bent out of shape and just mutilated. So yeah, I guess the shop teacher figures, hey, if you're not going to use a screwdriver for a screwdriver, now I'm not going to let you use it for a screwdriver. And my dad had a wood shop teacher that was kind of the same way. If you misused a tool or if you misbehaved in the class, he would come up with a hammer and just whack right onto your workpiece and leave a big dent in your workpiece. And then he would grade you on your ability to sand that out. And he wouldn't give you, you know, a belt sander or a hand sander of any sort. He would make you just go back and forth on it with a piece of sandpaper until that thing was smoothed out. And that sucks. I don't know how many of you have actually done any woodwork. I've done a little bit, but hand sanding just sucks. Especially if it's a hardwood. I mean, that just really sucks. So anyway, I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, I do have a wire wheel, and yeah, I do consider using that. A lot of people have asked, you know, why don't he... Wow, that truck is loud. Let's go ahead and let this truck pass. In my garbage can is about 500 pounds of computer printers. I mean, that thing is really heavy. So I figured, you know, what the hell? Let's go ahead and watch the garbage man flip that thing up and see if there's anything exciting. Maybe some of them will fall out and bust on the ground. Maybe it'll make a loud crashing noise. Maybe nothing will happen. Well, let's go ahead and just see. Well, anyway, that was exciting. No, it wasn't. Well, as I was saying, the tins can be cleaned up, and I'll put a coat of paint on them after I beat them out a little bit. It's not going to take much work. I mean, only a couple minutes. This is not like a full body on a car. I don't even have to weld on these things. This one is just fine as is. So, anyway, we'll get on that one. Another big topic of discussion. Wild Bill's bus. You probably remember back in, I guess it was around November, where the poor bus burst into flames as he was driving down the road. It turned out that was caused by an electrical issue. He had a rubber grommet slide down the one of the battery cables, and the battery cable vibrated itself against some of the tins. And tins, yeah, that's another subject of discussion. Tins. Why are these called tins? We'll come back to that in just a second. But the wire went through and it had no more rubber grommet, so it vibrated against here and it grounded out. And then it started sparking and actually burning its way through the tin as it went on its way, until eventually it caught fire to something. I don't know what it was that caught fire. Something in the bus caught fire, and it might have been the foam surround or something, but something started burning in there. And then before he noticed it, of course, it had started to get bigger, but he managed to put it out with his fire extinguisher. You know, thankful that he carries one, and you should always have one if you're a Volkswagen owner. I mean, don't think to not to, and it's also a good idea to have two, just in the case that, hey, maybe it's not your bus that burns, maybe it's the other Volkswagen that your friend is driving next to you, and that, you know, dopey idiot forgot his. So it's always a good idea to have a fire extinguisher in your Volkswagen. Anyway, he caught fire. He managed to fix it. He took the engine all apart, tore everything down. A lot of the what do they call it? Fire retardant stuff got down on the carburetor and down into the engine, so he was concerned because the stuff is highly corrosive that it killed his compression or ate the inside of the cylinder. So he changed out the pistons and the barrels, put the engine back together. He got it running pretty good, and just last week he took it down the road on its maiden voyage with freshly rebuilt and tuned carburetors, and he got, oh, maybe a half a mile down the road, and it burst into flames again. And I feel so bad for the guy. For the past almost 2 years, he's been having a lot of problems with that bus. First, he lost the transmission, and then he lost the first engine, and the first engine was actually due to that rubber surround that goes around the engine compartment. It actually came up, and it went into his intake fan, and he didn't know it until it was too late. You know, the engine just started to lose power, and at that point, it had already burned itself up, and actually literally burned holes through the aluminum cylinder heads. And he lost that, and he managed to rebuild the thing, put it back together with an engine, and he was going to put into a square back, also a Type 4 engine. But he rebuilt that one as his dream engine. It was like 2200 cc's or something, Type 4 engine. Put a set of dual Weber carburetors on it and had the thing running, I mean, primo. It was running really good. He said it got better gas mileage than his fuel-injected motor before. It had more power. He was very happy with it. Still planning on eventually putting it back into the square back, but he was enjoying it so much, and then he had that fire last year, and then he had the second fire this year after rebuilding it yet again. So the poor guy is, he's really got a tough time. So check out Wild Bill VW over on his YouTube channel. I'm still trying to get him to post more videos. He does have a Facebook page, and he posts most of his stuff up on there, but I keep telling him, you know, put it on YouTube and share it on Facebook. That way it's on both platforms, but he hasn't done that yet. So go razz him. Get over to his YouTube channel. Give him some encouragement, not only to get his YouTube going, but to put up more videos and to get that bus of his fixed. I've got a whole bunch of parts I'm going to give him. I have a new foam surround. I have the grill that goes over the fan, which he burned up. Those are really hard. Well, the grill is a little hard to find part, and I happen to have one, so I'm going to make sure I give that to him. And whatever else I have. I have a lot of Type 4 stuff here, but I don't actually have a bus or a Type 4 engine anymore. So I'm going to let all that stuff go and just give it to him, take care of him however I can. Hopefully he gets the thing back on the road soon, but the poor guy, Man. Anyway, we had Taco Tuesday a couple nights ago, and he and I will be seeing each other again for tech session this Saturday. So we'll be probably discussing his bus and, you know, wherever else he wants to talk about while we're over there. And you guys get to see Carlos, too. Another interesting thing happened this week, and this is quite a surprise to me. Somebody came to my YouTube channel, was talking about me putting rear disc brakes onto my Type 3 Fastback Ruby. And he said, I didn't know, you know, they had such a set. Will the Beetle set fit? And obviously they did. He said, hey, listen, I actually got your information off of the CB Performance page where the brakes are sold. You posted the only review for those brakes that's on the page. And I remember doing that. I did that around Christmas time, and I never thought that it was ever going to get me any traffic, but it says Duckman Cycles and VW Garage, and I posted my review on the brakes, and it was highly positive. Well, I guess he Google searched the name, found my video about the brakes, watched it, and commented, and told me the story, and that's how he found me. So I don't get any money from CB Performance. They don't even give me any free parts. Hell, they've never even given me a discount. And not saying that they're a bad company, or they haven't tried to help me out, or that they haven't really had something to do nice for me, but I've never offered them anything either. So, you know, I pay my way. I buy parts from them, and their parts have been really, really good. So cbperformance.com, you can check out their engine stuff. They have a lot of great brake parts, and I don't run rear drums or front drums on a Volkswagen anymore. I hate adjusting those things. I have a real problem getting on my back and adjusting those little star screws. I just don't want to do it. I'm not interested. If I had a lift or something, it probably wouldn't be such a bad thing, but I don't like touching that stuff. It's dirty. It's annoying. It's obnoxious, and with how often I drive that thing, I find myself adjusting them every couple months. Now that I have discs, and they've been on there, I guess, 11 months now, guess how many times I've had to adjust them or even be concerned with it? Yeah, goose egg. Not a single time. So disc brakes, I highly recommend them. And the CB Performance kit is excellent. The kit that I have on Ruby is actually using 914 rear brakes on there with special hubs that they machine to make those fit. And they work out really, really nice. So I highly recommend them. Yes, on the subject of tins. Tins are, well, it's essentially just a metal container. It doesn't necessarily have to be made from tin. A long time ago, cans were, of course, made from tin. Tin was a cheaper metal, easier to manufacture, easier to melt. And nowadays, a lot of things are processed in steel. Steel is actually cheaper, and with the machinery we have nowadays, it's really easy to process. Volkswagen engine metal, like this here, cooling shroud stuff, are known as tins. Because a tin is, well, by definition, a metal container. If you go and you buy somebody a tin full of Christmas cookies, are they actually, you know, is the container actually made from tin? No, it's not. And a lot of non-Volkswagen people I've noticed have been giving a lot of people a lot of hell, even myself, about, you know, what these things should be called. And tins is apparently to them not the correct name, but no, these are tins. You know, it's a metal container by any other name. Just what it contains isn't food, it contains air. Air. It contains the cooling air, which keeps this engine running. Without that cooling air, you know what happens. Anyway, yes, those are engine tins. All those little pieces you see on there holding that together, all engine tins. This right here, also an engine tin. And the guy whose car horn's going off, I'd like to hit him over the head with an engine tin. You guys get the point. Anyway, I think that clarifies that one. So for those of you that don't know what an engine tin is, that's what these are. And this is strictly for air-cooled stuff. You wouldn't find this, let's say, on a Chevy, you know, especially on something modern today, because any air shroud that they might have would be plastic, so it wouldn't even be metal. So you couldn't call it a tin, because, well, it's just plastic. It's crap. Tins. 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 Anyways, we're going to try to get back to work on this stuff. We're going to hit this thing with a little bit of more sandblasting on here, not painting. And remember, once again, that was a sandblaster, not a painter. And once we've got this cleaned up, I'm going to beat out the rest of this metal on here, put a coat of primer on it, and lastly, it's going to get coated with some paint. And it should be looking real good probably in the next couple days. We'll see how that works out. Also, I've got a bus I'm bringing home. That's right, a 1967 split-window bus is what I'm told that it was. I don't know, it's my bus already, and it has been for a few years. You probably noticed that I put up a video about it probably about a month or two ago. I said that's going to be my next project after Eleanore. Well, CT Moog put up his bus videos, and he's got a momentum going right now on YouTube. The guy started out with like maybe 100 subscribers on New Year's Day, and as of, I think today, maybe even tomorrow or today, he has the same number of subscribers I do, right around 19,000, just in 2 months. Boom! I mean, just spiked. And all he did was do a little bit of work on his bus, and Even he said himself, he doesn't really know what he did that got him to that popularity. But CT Moog, go check him out, throw him a subscription. He's a good guy, he does some good work, and he's got some really nice projects, including the old bus, which he just got starting, and he really lucked out on that thing. You know, after 40 years of that thing sitting, and that rusty old motor started up and actually ran and idled. That was the biggest surprise. It idled like the carburetor was clean. Just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Check them out. I recommend that. Anyways, thanks you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Pluck that dingle bell next subscribe button. You get updates every time I upload a new video. And don't forget to check out Duckman Cycles and VW Garage up on the Facebook group page. If you'd like, email me, duckmancycles@duckshit.net. And check out my other YouTube channel, Duckman Cycles and VW Garage. Really appreciate you. We'll be seeing you later on with a tech video.